All right, today we're diving into something pretty amazing. We're exploring a living story. And I don't just mean a text on a page, this is a profound, mystical interpretation of a cosmic narrative. It's a story that kicks off with a single command that literally births the universe, and it ends, as you're about to see, right inside your own heart. And it all starts right here. Kun fayakun. Be and it is. This phrase, it's not just a saying, right? It is the divine creative act itself. It's that exact moment when all the potential of existence, everything held in this unseen reality, is just spoken into being. This is the origin point, the source code for absolutely everything. So what is that unseen source? Well, it has a name. The al-Kitab, or the mother of the book. The best way to think of it is like the ultimate blueprint, the womb of command. It's where all revelation and all of creation flows from. It's that silent, infinite potential just waiting, right before that first word is ever spoken. Okay, so the big question is, how does that one single unified word get from that place of infinite potential into our world, right? Into this fragmented reality? Well, we're about to see how it descends into creation in 4 distinct phases, and each one is represented by a powerful element and a sacred text that completely shapes human history. Now, it's really helpful to think about these not just as books, not in the way we usually think of books. Imagine them more as elemental forces. They're like divine self-disclosures, with each one arriving at a very specific time in human history to do a specific job, to perform a function for our collective consciousness. And this is where it gets really interesting. Just look at how this descent is mapped out. It's so beautiful and symmetrical. You've got the water of the Torah brought by Musa, which comes to purify pride. Then, the fire of the Psalms, through Dawood, arrives to refine us, to burn away falsehood. After that, the light of the gospel, revealed to Isa, comes to illuminate the word made flesh. And then finally, you have the tree of the Quran. And it doesn't just show up as another element. Its job is to unite all of them. See, the crucial point here is that these revelations aren't separate things, and they're definitely not competing with each other. They're all part of a single, continuous story. The final revelation, the Quran, is symbolized as this amazing tree that gathers all the other elements, the water, the fire, the light, and brings them together into one living thing. It's like all the sap is being drawn back to that one original root, the command of Allah. So the big takeaway here is unity. What might look separate in time is actually one, single, integrated reality. All right, so let's shift gears a bit. We're going to see how this huge cosmic story of creation and revelation starts to narrow its focus. I mean, really narrow it down, because it finds its home not just in the pages of history, but inside the most intimate space you can possibly imagine, the human body itself. In this part of the story, we meet 3 mothers who are basically keepers of the divine light. But we need to be clear, these aren't just historical figures. They represent something much bigger. They're archetypes of spiritual protection. Each one embodies a timeless principle. You have the patient endurance of water, the total surrender of fire, and that deep, profound trust of silence. And this table just brilliantly lays out their different roles. First, you have Asiya. Her watery mercy literally hides the light from Pharaoh's fire. Then there's Miriam, whose fiery surrender protects the word through an act of complete self-sacrifice. And finally, the mother of Musa, whose silent faith just trusts the current, letting revelation be carried to wherever it needs to go. You see, each one is a unique form of divine protection. So from this incredible triple womb, this collaboration of mercy, surrender, and faith, 2 absolutely essential prophetic forces emerge. You get the light of Isa and the fire of Yahya. And it's their union, the spirit and the lifeblood coming together, that creates the tree of mercy. It's the perfect balance that nourishes all of life. And this is where it gets kind of mind-blowing. The Quran itself describes a parallel process of creation, one that happens right inside the human womb. This verse, it's not just biology. No, it's a perfect microcosm, a miniature version of the entire cosmic story we've been following, all the way from that unseen source to a brand new creation. And get this is the story of your own creation. Just look at how each physical stage lines up with a prophetic function and an element. The tiny drop of water, it remembers its source. The clot of blood, it becomes compassion. The lump of flesh solidifies into law, into certainty. And this process just keeps going until, finally, a new creation, a fully conscious being is brought into existence. So what's the grand finale of this whole process, both cosmic and biological? It's nothing less than a resurrection of consciousness itself. It's the story of the fallen fire, that principle of defiant will, being lifted up, being redeemed by mercy, all through the vessel of the human form. And that reconciliation, that coming together of these two ancient forces, well, that's what becomes you. But here's the thing, this awakening, this resurrection, it's not automatic. It's not a freebie. It actually requires a journey. And according to this story, every single soul has to first experience a fall. It has to descend deep into its own nature before it can even begin to find the path back home. To really get a handle on this universal law, let's look at two classic figures. First, you have Iblis. He's born of fire, he disobeyed, and he fell. But he was given respite, a kind of delay in his sentence. And then you have Yunus, the man of water. He fled from his duty and was swallowed by the whale, but in the end, he was rescued. Now here's the crucial connection, the thing that ties them together. Even though they had totally different paths, one of fire and defiance, the other of water and flight, they were both, in a sense, swallowed by their own decree. And from the absolute depths of their fall, they both cried out with the exact same prayer of return, admitting they were wrong and turning back to the source. Okay, this is a really crucial point, the distinction between Iblis and Shaitan. Because in this reading, Iblis isn't just evil. He represents the principle of self-will. He's a necessary force that has to descend, that has to fall, so it can be purified by mercy. Shaitan, on the other hand, is the distortion of that will. It's the force that actively says no to mercy and chooses to stay separate. And this is presented as the universal law of the soul. Every single one of us repeats this story. We all experience our own fall, right? Whether it's into the fire of our own ego or the deep, dark waters of despair. And the really essential takeaway is that we are all given the time, that respite, and we're all given a path of mercy to find our way back. So as we head into this final part, we're going to see how this entire cosmic drama, everything from that very first command all the way to this law of return, finds its ultimate purpose and its true meaning. And spoiler alert, it's not in a book, and it's not in the past. It's right here in this very moment. So far, we've been looking at this grand, sweeping story, right? It's filled with prophets, elements, cosmic laws, the whole shebang. But now, it's time to realize who this story is really for. This isn't just a history lesson. It's a mirror. You read a verse like this, and it seems like it's talking to a prophet thousands of years ago. But what if it's also speaking directly to you, right now? You are the one who's been sent among a community. You are the one who's meant to recite, to embody what has been revealed. You are the heir to this entire lineage. And here's how it works. All of those figures we've been talking about, they represent forces inside your own consciousness. You have the guardians of the divine fire. That's your will, the law, the command. And you have the keepers of the water of light. That's mercy, spirit, and surrender. And for this whole story to reach its climax, those two forces have to finally meet. And they have to harmonize right inside your heart. And that meeting, that sacred internal union of your will and your mercy, of your discipline and your love, that is what gives birth to the living Quran, the embodied word. Suddenly, the story stops being something you just read on a page, and it becomes something that you are. So, we're not going to end with a conclusion. Instead, we're ending with a question for you. This pattern of descent and return, it's written into the very fabric of every single soul. The story is now yours. So the real question is, how is it being written in you?